Welcome back to Coal and Shield Ironworks. If you're wondering how to do commissions as a beginner blacksmith, then you've come to the right place. In today's video, you're going to join me as we go out and meet my very first client, who's charged me with forging a few different really cool projects. So stick around if you're curious to see how this whole process works. So it's the next day, we've had our coffee and we're on our way to the client's house. We're going to go have a consultation, go have a look at some designs, what they're interested in, and we're going to take some measurements so we stick to the specifications of what they want us to forge. In all honesty, with this being my very first commission, I'm naturally a little bit nervous, but in saying that, at the same time I'm really excited because it's a great opportunity for me to get out of my comfort zone and forge some things that I've never forged before. So this video is going to be a bit of an adventure for sure. We're breaking new ground in my blacksmithing journey, so hopefully we get a bit more insights for you guys and maybe we can learn something new together. Oh wait, is my mic even on? Oh, it is, thank God. Alright guys, so we've had a bit of a talk about what we want to get forged. So what we've got here, we've got a door on a little shed and we've got some steps that we need to connect together. So we're going to make up something, it's kind of hard to see because it's such a bright day. We're going to make up a bit of a fleur-de-lis L bracket. We're going to bolt it into place. We're going to add a bit of a twirl. And then we're also going to make up a latch that's going to come up here and latch onto the door with a quick release so they can take the door off the latch with their foot. So we're going to have to do a bit more design work at home so I can show you what we're going to make. And we are back. Now it is a couple weeks later because we have had some really bad weather, so I haven't really been able to get out to the forge. Plus, I did have to film a video for my market day. But back on topic, let's forge our brackets. So here I've got my design all drawn out. So this is to scale, and you can see that we're going to be doing the whole thing in two different parts. We're going to do a weld on the curl, and here this is the door latch part of the project where we're going to have to forge this out with a swivel section. We're going to have a rivet going through it and we're going to have it attached to the door on the receiver end. But we're going to cover that in a part 2 video. I decided to do the whole forging part of the video in voiceover, not because I filmed the whole thing in slow motion accidentally and without any audio, but because I thought it would make the video flow a bit easier. Here I'm just cutting out the L bracket. I had to do this out of sheet steel because I couldn't do it from flat bar, because getting that 90-degree bend on a piece of steel that's 40 by 6 mil is far too difficult, and I actually ended up hurting my hand really badly when I was trying to forge it into an elbow. Here I'm just marking out the points of the fleur-de-lis that I'm going to put on the ends of the L bracket, because we're going to have to cut that with the angle grinder. I'm using a hacksaw just to get through the very bottom of those cuts because the grinding wheel is round, so it doesn't make a perfectly straight cut through the piece of steel. So that's the whole bracket cut and prepped. Now it's time to mark out, and now we're going to put some little marks with our center punch so we can see where we're going to have to punch our holes through easier when the steel's nice and hot. I'm chucking a welding glove on for this project because I'm trying to hold it without tongs as much as I can because it just makes it a lot easier to handle. I had a lot of holes to punch through on this project because I wasn't just making one of these L brackets, but I was making two because I have to have one either side of the staircase. And if you want to see how I forged this hole punch out of a piece of spring steel, then you should go watch one of my previous videos. I actually have a series where I cover how to forge all the beginning smithing tools that you need to get started, and it's a really good watch. I was very happy with how well my punch stood up against this project because there were a lot of holes and it's pretty thick material, and I had no deformation in the punch at all. So I know I forged it well, and you will see how I forged it in that video. I'll link it in the description. Now here I'm isolating the material for where the wings are going to be on the fleur-de-lis. You have to do this so you can work on them individually, otherwise you're just going to end up munting up the whole thing. I'm just starting off by getting it over the horn of the anvil and knocking down the sharp corners, and we're going to have to bend it over the horn to get started before we do the final shaping. You can see here where I set it over the edge of the anvil, and that makes it a lot easier to control while you hit it with the hammer. And you got to hit it at a slight angle because you got to try and move only one edge of the material, and it creates that wing. Giving it a bit more shaping over the horn of the anvil because I want to get it to kind of fold down quite a lot more than what it currently is. These wings are kind of finicky to forge out, so it does require a bit of back and forth to get them how you want. Now I'm working on sharpening the center portion of the fleur-de-lis, and I'm just spreading out the material a bit with the cross peen hammer just to kind of get it down and get it kind of more rounded instead of just straight cut. You can see it gives it more of an oval kind of shape. And then I come through with my rounding hammer and I just give it a bit more larger texture because I'm not a big fan of such sharp texture from the cross peen hammer, and it more matches the marks forged into the wings of the fleur-de-lis. Here I'm just heating up the whole end of the L bracket, and then I'm cooling off the tips of the wings, and that way I'm able to hammer them back without deforming the sharper edge that much. Then I'm just giving it a nice heat to get off all the forge scale. And here I'm doing the final shaping on the fleur-de-lis. It's gonna be very, very difficult to get a final shape just with the hammer, but you do want to make sure the material is close enough to where you want it to sit in its final position, because, well, you can't add material from a file, you can only remove it. So you've got to try and be as accurate as you can with the hammer, and then decide when it's close enough, because you really got to think about how much work you really want to do with your files. A round file is perfect to get under those wings, and I like to use my half rounding file to get in those seams between the wings and the center portion of the fleur-de-lis. I feel like it's made exactly for it. Here I'm just putting some texture on the main body of the L bracket because, well, I want it to look hand forged, and if it's just straight cuts with the angle grinder, it doesn't really do it justice. And I think this ended up looking really, really nice, and it doesn't take a lot of work to add a bit of texture, but it makes it look 100% different and gives it so much more technical detail. Well, not technical, but it gives it so much more detail that's pleasing to look at. Here I'm just doing my final inspection and making sure everything's straight and flat and not twisted, and I think it came out pretty well. Now this was an interesting part of the forging process. Here I'm working on the curl of the L bracket, or what I like to call the kuru pattern. A kuru pattern is a traditional Māori design, and for those who don't know, Māori are the native culture of New Zealand, and this is a very traditional pattern that you'll see in many, if not all, of their artworks. As you can see in the background, I have my design. It's kind of blurry, but I have my design just sitting there on that bucket, and I keep going back and forth just to make sure that I'm getting the curl exactly in the right spot to match up with the design. And it was a bit more finicky than I thought it would be, and especially trying to get two of them exactly the same. It was a bit of a process, but I did get there in the end. And here I'm doing the same thing, giving it a bit of texture to make it look really nice and hand forged, just to make it pop that bit more. And here I'm just getting it ready, I'm marking it out and then cutting it, and I'm grinding some 45-degree bevels on there because I want there to be space for the filler wire of my welding filling wire to penetrate deep inside of the material, because I'm not just trying to do a weld just for looks, I'm trying to make it sturdy the whole way through. and I didn't want to point the camera at me welding because I didn't have a lens that's made to look at welding straight up, so I had to be careful there. Now I'm just smoothing it out, getting rid of any seams that I can possibly see, and I'm going to heat it back up, and I'm going to give it some more texture just to get rid of that smooth look. Now I decided to punch the holes in the kuru pattern after I welded it because I wanted them to be directly above each other, and I wasn't sure that I would be able to get that perfectly right if I hadn't already welded it together. And I was a little bit worried that I might snap the weld, but it held up very well, so I was very happy with that. Well, this has been a doozy of a video. Look at this bad boy. I'm actually really proud. With this being my very first commission, I am actually thrilled that I have the opportunity to test out my skills and create something of my own design and start to get my name out there as the local blacksmith. But the show's not over. I still need to make another one of these. Don't worry, I'm not going to film that. But we still have to do, let me put that down. We still have to do the door latch, so you should stay tuned because in my next video we're going to cover that. I should probably ask at this part of the video, if you enjoyed it so far, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you do want to see that door latch video coming up, then don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think of this little staircase bracket design that I thought up in my tiny little brain, but also what do you think of my welds? I mean, I think let me get the light on there. I think I hit it pretty well, but I think that's up for you to decide whether I hit that well enough or not. I mean, putting all those hammer marks in, it just looks like it's part of the design. And I mean, it is strong. I was able to punch these holes and straighten this bracket up without my weld snapping. So I think it's definitely strong enough. I guess I just need to work on making them pretty. I think I had a little bit too much of the wire going in, so it kind of pumped up a little bit, but I was also going pretty slow because I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to do a second pass because that would probably just turn into a bit of a cleanup nightmare. But until then, see you next time and have a good night. Woo!